think about that, what was the role of the research? So many roles that, like one of the for our promotions. Second thing that they have changed the scenario of the treatment and the cost of that, cost of due to the cost of treatment. Yeah, they if it was on the larger perspective, so the even the that economy can be changed upon this. And second thing, the side effect might be the whatever the side effect due to the previous dose might be the side effect may be minimized. So many role you can think about that, especially for our children. The treatment which was ongoing since so many years, they have changed their thought about this particular research activities. So thank you, Dr. Amit. And which one? So the next topic is aims and objective of the study and study variables. Again, by the Dr. Mohan Gujjar sir. And as we know that Dr. Gujjar is the senior professor in our critical care medicine department of SGPCI, and he has published so many publications in the national, international, as well as he was one of the senior member of the ethics committee of SGPCI. So Dr. Gujjar sir.
So coming to the next important aspect in any research proposal and any studies about aim and objectives. We might be confused because apparently broadly looks the same. So through this next 10 minutes, I would like to highlight there is some difference between aim and objective. Aim is basically is a broader kind of the lay person kind, and you want to communicate something with that. I want to achieve this. I want to become a doctor. I want to become a scientist. So, but how you will achieve? So there must be some planning. There must be some objective. To get a target, what is your planning? In the research proposal is the objective, and the target is the aim. So if you go through that basic aspects, the fundamental difference between the aim and objective. Aim is what is to be actually achieved, as I told you, like it is a target. Objective is how it is to be achieved. So it is a slight difference between that. You might be having the aim, but until unless you have a plan, you have some kind of work, you will not achieve that aim. So through the objectives, you can achieve that aim. And in aim, there is a no time bound. Objective has a time bound, which is very essential in any research proposals where a lot of stakeholders is involved. Aim, there is a no measurement, and objective, it is a measurement. So it is some slight fundamental difference between the aim and the objectives. Once you see any manuscript or any published literature article, so in the either in the at the end of your introduction rationality, before the method start, there is some kind of hypothesis or some aim why you want to do something, because it is a rationality has been discussed by Dr. Amit. So you set the platform, you set the stage, why you like any movie you want to, why you, it is a romantic movie or it is a kind of some horror movie, you try to create a stage for that in the beginning itself. So that is your basically aim. So in the first few paragraph and mainly conversely at the end, while you are summarizing all the existing information available in the literature in that field, then you come out with that aim. But once you go to the further detail in the methodology, it is precisely, it has been clearly marked what is the objective of your study. What is the, what you are looking, how you will achieve your aim. So that is there. So objective, some of the journal they say as outcome. So outcome has to be defined in the method section. It is a primary outcome or primary objective or secondary objective or outcome. It is a slightly different where you precisely refine your things scientifically content, how you will measure or achieve that aim, means what kind of the tool you will choose to achieve that aim, what kind of the data you would like to highlight to achieving that aim, at what time interval, what population you are looking. So you are more precising in your achieving that aim. That is defined in the outcome. So that is up to the researchers what they choose. So see, any good article table, you find it out, there is separately mentioned in any table, it is a primary objective or outcome. Then there are the various secondary objective or outcome. As highlighted by the previous speaker, Dr. Amit Goel, that try to restrict as less as possible. Even the good journal like New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, Lancet, if you see their articles, they have original articles hardly one or maximum two primary objective. You should avoid to having the multiple objective as a primary, because it is important, as I will go through next slides. Secondary objectives might be many, depend upon during the journey of your study, there are the various possibilities that you might generate the data and look in that aspect, but that was not a primary objective or outcome. So that is a mention as a secondary outcome or objective. So it is like a different, if you feel like a patient in the older adults so would like to have some hip surgery and which kind of the anesthesia, spinal anesthesia or general anesthesia, because anybody in the real public scenario. So if you have a better answer, you will opt for that. It is a very relevant for the participant, not only the clinician. So see in that also, in the finally that was a kind of aim, but how they choose their age population and at what time they will assess the outcome. So those things can be precisely mentioned in the outcome. So again in this table you can see there is only the one primary outcome, then multiple secondary outcome. And I'm not going in detail integrity of like the primary outcome is a composite outcome might be that integrate many things. If any of the things has been happened in the clinical outcome like death or disability, something, anything is combined as a composite, then it can be primary. If you want to see the separately, then it is a secondary outcome. So it is a researchers, but stick to the pattern to one primary objective. Coming to the same thing, highlighting how many objectives, what is the relevance actually. The main purpose is just restricting to the single primary objective is that it is your sample size, your confidence among that generating the evidence is higher because your sample size is based on to that particular objective. So you are better confident our results through this. Otherwise, for the secondary objective might be sample size is not a good enough. So trying to restrict the primary objective, one of the reason is that you have a supporting like kind of sample size, so it will not be underpowered studies. So your acceptability, generalizability of that study or for the different populations might be higher. Then coming to the outcome measures, it is another has to be clear in your research proposals in the methodology section, because as I have told you, the aim in the setting before you start the method, but objective is precisely being mentioned in the method section, and clear about primary and secondary, restricting the primary to the one. Then outcome measures has to be very clear defined in the method section. Means one of the example given by that blood pressure measurement, which tool or device you will use, and kind of what timing, like what kind of the population, like a day timing, or more precisely, or sitting position. So those things you can mention in the outcome measures. Aim, objectives and outcome measures means objective how you will measure it, because ultimately in any study any descriptive things has to be analyzed through the data. So like the computer works on the numbers, like the digits, the computer or software understand only the numbers. So the same thing happen in the once you analyzing your data, whatever your idea, thoughts and your objectives is there, ultimately has to be analyzed by your raw data collected. So you should be very clear about what actual things being measured to achieve your objective. It is a very important thing, what kind of data. If you are very clear since the beginning, you will not face any problems while you are analyzing your data. So, not going in the detail of the table, these are just for highlighting the purpose and difference between these things. So in the summary, aim is what is to be studied, objective, how it is to be studied, then primary objective, try to restrict focus only the one, and outcome measures how and when it will be measured or data to be collected. So like the kind of the doing the CME is the aim of the many persons, from the administrator to organizers to participants, but everybody has a different objectives. Like administrator have a different objective for this today's CME, organizers might have a different objectives how to achieve this, make a successful CME. Speakers might have a different objectives to connect more, to have a more interaction, and delegates might be have a different actually objectives, might be coming here to just as a resting day today, or maybe learning really hard, or you have some more interaction asking or clearing your doubts. So the same thing can be, aim is the same but objective might be different. It is up to you how you define your objective and achieving or not. It is like this one only. Thank you.
What are the common mistakes to avoid when defining study variables?
Yes, study variables, yes, it is an extension of these things. If you understand your objective and you are understanding like outcome measures, then you will not collect data or variables as much as possible, because what we intend to do in any study, once we start the study, collect all the data, we will use whatever we require at the end. But if you are very clear in the outcome measures, you will choose the variables which are really relevant, either direct or indirect influencer your, because that you need ultimately to explain to the scientific community. So variables, choosing the variables is depend upon your outcome measures. And yes, that is the ultimate thing, because extra variables, if you are describing in any manuscript, It is usually screened by the editors to make as a supplementary table. Because they feel it is not a part of the primary manuscript, they try to post from that main manuscript to supplementary. If editor feel it is either distant possibility relationship and need to be explained while publishing your study results.
Thank you, Madhav. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next speaker. Next speaker is Dr. Prabhakar Mishra, and he will tell us about study designs.
Very good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for giving us opportunity to speak there. Especially the Professor Dr. Shiv Kumar and Professor Tripathi and Professor Shakti Pinam, all are those who are organizing this research methodology workshop. Basically, my topics, I want to, if can cardless speaker, I can get cardless speaker, that will be good for me, because usually we are not habitual to speak. Okay, so basically, I am going to discuss about the study design. And like the previous speaker told, there are, when we are planning the research, there are various steps of the research proposal, research paper, research protocol. Like when, since starting from the conceiving our research question, followed by a development of the aims and objective, and all these things are falling, you know, literature review, all are falling in the within the background and introduction section. And next step of the research proposal or research paper is the material and method section. Within the material and method section, basically we describe all the type of the subjective as well as statistical methods. All the technical details we need to explain in the material and method section. Similarly, how we plan the statistical analysis, which type of study variable we have to take, define the outcome measures, and all these things we have to discuss in the material and method section. Then result section, after the collection of the data, then we analyze the data and present the everything in the result section, and following next last step will be discussion, conclusion, as well as references of the our studies. So a study design, basically it is a one type of research protocol. A study design is one type of the research protocol, because like the we take we skip the our academic area. Suppose we are taking the land, or we are taking the land in the for the construction of the building. So that is there are our objectives may be different. Like our objective may be construct a residential building or commercial building, hospital or any other. So there are various type of objective may be. Accordingly, we have to develop a, first we have decided map of the building. and then we proceed the construction of the building. Similar thing also happening in the research, either it is a medical research or other than medical research. What happening when we planning the research, first there is a based on the our nature of the data, aim and objective, based on our aim and objective and the nature of the data, we decide the study design. And study design is basically overall depend on the your nature of the data you are going to collect, analyze and presentation, and everything we know that is depend upon your aim and objective. So study design, it is the one type of the study framework or protocol, and once we know the study design, then everything of the research can be automatically clear. Like if we know that study design is this, it means aim and objective of the study, type of the collection of the data, methods of the collection of the data, and how we will proceed the statistical analysis, presentation of the results, and discussion, conclusion. All the things are well organized once we finalize our study design. So based on the, I told, based on the nature of the data, collection of the data, we decide the study design. So study design, basically there are two types of the study design. First is the observational study design and another is the experimental study design. So observational study design means we just observe the things. Researcher or investigator not manipulating the variables or outcome measures. Just we what we are looking, observing, and that we are presenting. These things are actually calling the observational study. Like in this exam, in this class, like suppose 250 participants are sitting. Out of these 250 participants, if we can explain that or we can describe that, most of the participants are sitting like they are watching their WhatsApp mobile, all these things. So it will just a description of the participants. But another thing is that we can say there is a there are two rows, one side and another side. One row is more sincerely listening the lectures and participating in the class. Another is as compared to less active in the class. So it become a comparative study or analytical study. Similarly, in the study there are two types: observational and experimental study. So observational study, what we are observing, that is called observational study. But experimental study, investigator or researcher manipulating the outcome. Like one group getting one treatment, another group is receiving another treatment. It means intentionally we are differentiating between the groups. So it means outcome will be followed of our treatment protocol, our strategy. So that become the experimental study. Like in this pictogram, you can see one child is just looking what happening, and that note down the in the collection format, data collection format. But another side, just they are another side they are doing the experiment, and after the experiment, whatever will be get the result or finding, they will note down. So this is the major difference between observational and experimental study. Observational, what we observe, that we note down, but in experimental, intentionally we provide some intervention, and then we note down our outcome and finding. Now every observational study, that is basically two types. One is descriptive, another is the analytical study design. Already I given one example, just what we are watching, that we can explain, that is the observational. But if we can further, we can add, persons are sitting, one group is superior than other, or one group is more sincere as compared to another group. So this type of things become comparative or analytical study. So what happening in the research, observation, if we make any hypothesis is definitely technical word. So we are just imaginary situation. We create a imaginary situation, and then we test whether what we imaginary what our situation that we are thinking, whether it is a true or false. So in that of the situation, that become analytical study. But in the descriptive study, what we are getting the observing, same thing we just described. And like the cricket match commentary, just commentary is the descriptive, but we are comparing between one team performance with another team, it become analytical study. Now descriptive study, especially in the medical sciences point of view, case report, case series and cross-sectional, when we are talking just a prevalence, or just we are measuring any measurement, so it become descriptive study. Like if we are describing a one patient, like the case descriptive study, mainly we are conducting when there is some rare situation, like when at the time of COVID-19 in the March 2020, when it was started in India, especially in India, then at the time COVID-19 was less known for us. So initially there were very few patients. At the time there were many case report and case series study were conducted, and these case report and case series are we describe these patients since coming in the hospital with their symptoms and other feature up to the treatment, successful treatment or unsuccessful treatment, and ultimately and follow-up of the study. All these things are covered. So basically, if we are cover only one patient, then it is a case study, but we are taking more than one patient. Sequentially, one by one patient we discuss with same characteristics like all our COVID-19 patient. But here we are taking more than one patient to describe in the study. So that become case series. It means channelized of the case report is become case series. And third, we can say descriptive cross-sectional study, like in the most of the time, especially in the community medicine, we estimate the prevalence or any measures like prevalence of anemia, measurement of the hemoglobin among the study population. So this type of things, if our objective is only measures, but not it is a compared between the groups, so that become the descriptive cross-sectional study. Means just estimate the value from the study population. So that become the descriptive cross-sectional study. But sometime further, these study, if involved to compare between the groups, that become analytical study. So by the analytical study, we can definitely why it is happening, which group is superior, which group is not is inferior, and how much they are difference between the groups. All these things are covered under analytical study. So cross-sectional study, case control study, cohort study, and randomized clinical trial. These are the popular studies. Those are falling under analytical studies. So first see the cross-sectional study. So cross-sectional study, this is the it's just like a snapshot of the population. Like there are 1,000 OPD patients are sitting, we want to know how many patients are smoker. So just we can go and take the information from these patients. Suppose 40% are smoker, so this become a cross-sectional study. Means all the information, how many are smoker, how many have lung disease, how many heart disease, how many have kidney disease. So all these things, information of the same patient we can collect at a one point of time. Means it is a snapshot of the population. At the same time, we can obtain all these information. So that becomes the cross-sectional study. Like in this example, you can see in the sample population. So first we find out how many are exposed or non-exposed, like smoker, non-smoker, or particular risk factor present or absent. Later we found from the person those were exposed or suppose they were smoker, how many developed the how many are particular, like asthma and lung cancer, all these things. So how many persons have particular condition present or particular condition absent. So same thing we observed in the exposed group as well as non-exposed group. And later we have to compare these exposures between the cases and control groups. So ultimately in cross-sectional study, initially we don't know how many cases will be obtained, how many control will be obtained, how many will be exposure, how many will have non-exposure. At the time of, after the collection of the information, then we find these figures. So this becomes cross-sectional study. But in the next of the first see the case control study. But in case control study, what happening at the planning of the study? First we decide how, these number of cases or disease cases we will take in this group, and another group, person those will free from this particular disease or condition will be taken in another group. It means why it is a different with cross-sectional study? Because in cross-sectional study initially we don't know how many will be cases, how many will be controlled. But in case control study, at the time of planning of the study, we decide how many cases we have to take, how many control we have to take. So first we take case and control, matlab disease and non-disease cases, and later from the disease and non-disease cases we have to find out how many have particular condition present, like they are diabetic, non-diabetic, or they have particular kidney disease, renal disease, or present or absent, all other things. Later we can any particular, basically we focus any particular risk factor. So then we find out from the cases and control how many have risk factor present or absent, and later we have to find out what is the probability or chances of happening of the disease in risk group as compared to non-risk group. So this type of analysis we perform in the case control study. So that's why after the cross-sectional I wanted to discuss the case control, because case control, cross-sectional, basically many people confuse what is difference. So cross-sectional, we don't know how many cases or control will be obtained after the data collection. But in case control study, at the time of planning of the study, we know these number of the cases, these number are controlled. Now cohort study, basically when we plan the study at the same time, at the baseline, which means starting time, we take either non-disease cases or disease cases. Any similar type of the patient or individuals we have to take in the study. Then from those persons, we have to find out particular risk factor. Like we have taken 1,000 persons. Out of 1,000 persons, we found that there are 100 smoker, 900 are non-smoker. Then these 100 smoker and non-smoker, suppose we plan to follow up next 10 years. After the 10 years, how many persons develop the lung cancer in the smoker group, how many persons develop lung cancer in non-smoker group. These percentage or prevalence incidence we can find in the smoker group as well as non-smoker group. So here in the smoker group, we calculate the incidence, rate of the disease develop in the smoker group, rate of the disease develop in the non-smoker group, then rate of the disease in smoker group divided by rate of the disease in non-smoker group, then we can calculate the relative risk, just like it is a odds ratio. So this is it means cohort study, it is mandatory. We need to follow the patient for the over the time, and at the time of planning of the study, all the patients those we are taking, they should be in similar nature. Either they are free from disease or not, they have disease. And then we differentiate between a particular, based on particular risk factor, we follow the over the time, and then we have to calculate what are the proportion or incidence to developing the disease in the exposure group as compared to non-exposure group. So this is the cohort study design. So that was all about the case control, cohort and cross-sectional study. And next study is the basically experimental study. So experimental study, basically when we observe the population or study participant after providing the particular intervention. So intentionally we provide some intervention, one of the group, and rest of the groups, or at least any group, not providing that particular treatment. Like in the medical setting, what happening? One group receiving the one new treatment or very the treatment that still we need to test for efficacy of that treatment. Another group, either we are not providing the treatment or we are providing the usual treatment, that is the as per standard protocol of the department. So, and then we conduct the study and later we compare the outcome between the two groups. And then we can, by the comparing, then we can identify whether new treatment is better than already established treatment, or it is a inferior, or it is a superior. All other things we can assess after the completion of the treatment in the group. So this is the, in the experimental group, basically there are three types of the study design. So first is called a randomized clinical trial study. So randomized clinical trial, what happening? Like we have taken 1,000 persons, those who have diabetic or those have particular, suppose all 100 are cancer patient. So what happening in the 100 cancer patient, randomly will be divided into two groups. Lottery method or random, that is another name is lottery method. So through the lottery method, patient will be divided in treatment and control group. In the treatment group, suppose 50 patient in the treatment group, another group 15 control group. One group receiving one treatment, another group receiving another treatment, and then we follow these patients over the time. And then after the follow-up, we compare the outcome of the study, and then we can find out whether new treatment is better than already established treatment, or they are almost equally distributed or equal effective between the groups. So it is called parallel. So this example is basically randomized clinical trial. This is the parallel, same randomized clinical trial, mainly we conducting in parallel study design. And parallel study design, this is the, like in this example you can see that there are 8 patients randomly divided between two groups. One group 4 patients, another group is 4 patients, and then we provided the treatment in one group and as well as another group as per the study protocol and pre-decided, and then we followed those patients in the over the time, and then later we compare the result between the two groups. So see, in the parallel group study design there is an advantage. What is the advantage of the parallel study design? Here, because patients are randomly distributed between the groups, it means there is a known as well as unknown factors are balanced between the groups. There are some things, some factors, those are known, we can balance through the matching, but there are some unknown factors we are unable to matching. So by the using the parallel study design, both of the all type of variable, whether they are known or unknown, all can equally distributed between the groups. And there is a, it means nobody can claim that this patient group is claiming better result because of they were wrongly allocated in this particular group. So by the parallel group study design, we can allocate the patient between the groups, and later we can compare the outcome between the groups. Another study design is crossover study design. So like all type of patient first we randomly allocate between one of the two groups or one of the three groups, whatever as per a study objective, and later means first suppose there are 100 patients, 50 patients receiving A treatment, 50 patients receiving B treatment, and after the 15 days, patient those who are earlier receiving treatment A now receiving treatment B, but patient those who are earlier receiving treatment B now receiving treatment A. And these 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, whatever we define, that is the washout period, when we expect that during this period initial treatment effect can be washed out. So like this, This is the advantage of this same patient. Same patient are receiving both type of the treatment. So when initially when patient one group receiving treatment A and another is receiving treatment B, we can compare the result. Later, if another group, same A group receiving treatment B and B group receiving treatment A, so later again we can compare the outcome. So we can find out whether there is any change in outcome between the two groups. By this way we can assess which treatment method is better, and this type of study mainly conducted in the renal nephrology department, where CKD patient, in this type of study we take only such patient those status is not possible to change within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, like the CKD patient. Once they develop the CKD, always they have required dialysis. So in that situation, this type of patient we can take for the crossover study design. Overall, this is the last slide of the study, this presentation. And overall, if we can see, our study design can be divided into two parts. Either it is an observational or it is an experimental study. Observational, based on the nature of the describing the things. Either it is a descriptive, where only we describe the things, not compared between the groups. Another is the analytical study, where we describe as well as compared between the groups. So in the descriptive study, if case report for one patient, case series more than one patient of the similar nature, usually for the rare disease, and descriptive cross-sectional study like the prevalence study or estimating anything, we can cover under descriptive study. But in the analytical study, if we are taking the snapshot of the population, and after taking the snapshot of the population, we identify the exposure and disease and making the association between them. So that can be covered under cross-sectional study. Similarly, in the case control study, at the planning of the study, we take one group cases, another group control, and based on the any particular risk factor, we later we making the association, we try to establish the relationship or association between these risk factor with the outcome. That is the case control study, cohort study. Same type of the persons, either they are disease free or they have disease, we take at the planning of the time of planning of the study. Then based on the any particular risk factor, we divide these individuals between two or more groups, and over the time we assess the rate of the development of the disease in one group as compared to another group. So this type of objective we covered in the cohort study design. And experimental study design, where we provide the intervention in any group, another group is not getting the same type of the intervention. So this type of study is called interventional study. If patients are allocating or between the groups based on the random allocation or by the lottery method, that become randomized clinical trial. But in the situation, if patients are not randomly allocated between the groups, that is based on the clinician choice or patient choice or some particular situation, patients are allocating between the groups, that type of study is called non-randomized clinical trial, and another is popular name is quasi-experimental design of the non-randomized clinical trial. These were all about the study design. Thank you. Any question?
Any question from anyone?
Thank you, Dr. Prabhakar. What is difference between parallel study design and the RCT?
Actually, RCT is the study design. Parallel is within the RCT one of the study design. Like within the RCT, there is three types of study design: parallel, crossover study design, Further is the cluster randomized that I did not discuss there. So within the randomized clinical trial, if we are conducting parallel study design, it means both of the groups, persons will be different. But if we are taking crossover study design, means same patient, once first time they receiving treatment A, after particular time they will receive treatment B. And in another group, first they receiving treatment B, later they receiving treatment A. So ultimately all the groups receiving the same type of the treatment, only sequence is different. So that become crossover study design. And cluster randomized design we are not going to discuss there, because this is the mainly population based, where village are randomized distributed between the either groups. Like 100 village, 50 village randomly allocated in this group, 50 in another group. From the 50, based on the income, we can divide the higher income, lower income. Similarly, another 50, higher lower income group, lower income group. Then from the higher income group, patient will be divided, a person will be divided between either of the one group. Means both groups, higher income group, suppose there are 100%, 50 in treatment A, 50 in treatment B. Lower income group, 50 in treatment A, 50 in treatment B. So that further we can, ultimately we can balance the baseline properties between the groups, so that further person cannot be claimed this patient were receiving the improving better because their income or higher, or their health status or higher, or any other things. All the things, those we think that this will ultimately affect the outcome, we have to randomize between the groups.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhakar. Thank you, sir. So it was a very informative session, and I'm sure all the audience, especially our students, now know about the overview of research proposal, rationality of study, and importance of aims and objectives of the study and study designs. Thank you very much, all the speakers of this session.
With this, we will be concluding the first technical session. I hope you all enjoyed and get a lot of positive inputs. So now, in order to enrich your knowledge more, we will be beginning the second technical session. To introduce myself, I am Shreya Mishra, first professional year MBBS student, UNS ASMC Jaunpur. The second technical session will be held under chairpersons, respected Dr.